The subcommittee, Chesapeake, to order, please. If we could please take attendance to make sure all the machines are hooked up. All right, a quorum is present. We have a couple bills. We have Delegate Scott signed up first, but we'll go ahead and skip two. I see Delegate Coiners here. We'll go ahead and handle. There are three bills that are opposite but similar, same topic matter. They're going in different directions, so we're going to listen to Delegate Coiner with her bill first. House Bill 276.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a substitute available for this bill.
All right. Is the substitute, can we have a motion to accept the substitute so it can be distributed? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. So now let's get the substitute before us.
The substitute's been posted, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, explain the substitute, please, Delegate Corner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The substitute takes my original bill, which directed changes to a previous bill that was done in regards to wetland bank credits. And instead of directing changes, it directs the Department of Environmental Quality to convene a stakeholder group to address the issues that we're seeing. My bill came from folks within the Richmond region who were experiencing no banks available in their immediate area and therefore having to leave the area in order to find banks. In addition, hearing from our farmers who are not happy with the increased amount of land that's needed when you leave your area, the 3 times the amount. They want to see less of their land taken. So while I understand there was peace in the valley over the bill a couple of years ago, it seems in implementation, at least in one region in the state, they are seeing issues that are cropping up, making it difficult to develop where we responsibly want people to be able to develop, and concerns raised by our farmers about wanting less of their land to be impacted. So it would be greatly appreciated to take another look at, since that was passed, to see how it's actually been implemented and taken place. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any questions for the patron from the committee? All right. Hearing none, we do have 2 people signed up in the virtual room, and I will say that we need to try to keep our testimony to a minute. I'm going to go ahead and let the clerk keep the timer. So Zachary Sheldon, the Nature Conservancy, are you in the room? All right, Zachary.
If you can hear me, sorry, this is Zachary Sheldon, the Nature Conservancy. With this substitute, we don't have any position or anything to say on the bill now.
Okay, thank you. How about Jamie Bronkow of the James River Association?
Yes, good afternoon. I just want to say I appreciate the substitute and the shift to look at this issue as more of a study. Our initial concerns were taking some important guardrails off out of place to make sure we're protecting watersheds. So I just want to express appreciation for this additional new direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the room would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia, and we support the substitute. There's been a lot of conversations about this issue, and I hope that in the next couple of months, DEQ and the stakeholders can get together, really work on substantive recommendations to open up the supply of credits. This is not just an issue that's constraining residential development. It impacts infrastructure, commercial development, and the high price of credits combined with shortages in some regions is really holding back really much needed housing supply for folks across the income level spectrum. So we would love if the substitute could move forward, but regardless of how it moved forward, it just needs to be something worked on for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think what I'd like to do, is there anyone else like to speak in favor of the bill or against the bill?
Good afternoon, Delegate and Chairman. I'm Mike Rolban. I'm the Director of DEQ, and we don't have a position on this bill because the amendment was just put in, and we, of course, don't always like extra work, but I'm familiar with this problem, and we've already had a meeting last week with the Army Corps of Engineers because a lot of the problems are between all the federal and state agencies trying to work together or not working together, which is holding up the credit supply. So we had a meeting with the Colonel and his top 4 people with his counterparts at DEQ, and we've detailed 2 people to work on this problem. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to improve things. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the DEQ? All right, hearing none. Well, I think it would be my rathers is to listen to all 3 bills, and I think we need to take them holistically forward. So I think at this time, if it's the pleasure of the committee, I'd like to move to House Bill, which House Bill, Delegate Baldwin? 479.
Yes. Mr. Chair, yeah. So Mr. Chairman, kind of similar to Delegate Coiner, we have 2 potential approaches with respect to this bill. And so I guess to put them into equal posture, I also have a substitute that could potentially turn this into a Section 1 bill that would bring together relevant stakeholders to discuss the issues. And so, Mr. Chair, if we could accept that, and then my understanding is that an alternative might be to have all bills rolled into a letter from the chair, and that way DEQ could better figure out exactly how to go ahead and tackle the issues in tandem and I guess maximize the uses of our stakeholders. But in order to kind of get them into the same posture, I do have that substitute.
All right, so we have a motion to substitute on House Bill 479. It has been brought forward, and all we need to do is voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so the substitute is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate it. I appreciate us being able to present all these together. So it's been a long-held priority for a lot of our environmental community and really Virginia as a whole to remove some of the large dams that have been put on our tributaries. And there's a number of reasons for this and making it a priority. So first of all, it's better for water quality, but it also is a way to go ahead and reopen our waterways to Andromeda's fish. So American shad is a great example of that. So these are fish that go up the river and have historically used them to go ahead and spawn. And damming up these rivers has been a great part of the decline of a lot of these fish populations. They are very expensive and very complicated things to go ahead and remove, and so that's why the dams in large part go ahead and remain. What my bill does is seeks to leverage private funding in order to go ahead and make these projects happen. And so specifically, these projects would generate dam removal credits, and then those could be sold to mitigate the impacts of development on other streams and wetlands. And so potentially it's a real win-win. Provides additional credits in a very tight market, while at the same time also providing a very considerable environmental benefit using private money. The problem is that for projects like this to be able to succeed and be economically viable, they have to have a relatively large area where the credits can be used. And so that's really the difficult part, so what is a tolerable distance between where the mitigation is needed and where the benefit is located? Usually, we're able to kind of come to a meeting of the minds on that balance, and unfortunately, we weren't able to make that happen in this case. But there's definitely agreement on the need to further discuss how to go ahead and move these things forward and to identify recommendations. And with that, Mr. Chair, that is kind of what my bill does. So again, at the pleasure of the subcommittee, would be happy to do this as a Section 1, or go ahead and have the bills tabled and have a letter from the chair directing or asking DEQ to go ahead and study these issues together.
Okay, thank you, Delegate. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak for or against House Bill, the substitute House Bill 479?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jeff Corbin, Restoration Systems. I guess this bill, first of all, thank you, Delegate Bulva. Champion on the Bay decided to carry this bill for us. And I guess I should apologize. I was a little naive thinking this was a simple bill. And just to be clear, you summarized it perfectly. And what we're trying to do is use private money to take out the top tier of the top tier dams. And we estimate that of the 2,000 dams in Virginia, we might be able to use this approach as written in the initial bill for maybe 5 or 6. So we've got a contract under the Ashland Mill Dam up in Ashland. It is the #1 dam for removal in the entire Chesapeake Bay watershed. And we're proposing to do it using our money, 0 state money, 0 federal money. We simply need a somewhat larger service area. And our hope was the original bill, but we'll go along with whatever the pleasure of the committee is. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association. We support the bill, but per my previous comments, would be supportive of efforts to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussions on House Bill 479?
Mr. Chair, Patrick Fanning with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We just want to thank the delegate for considering our input on this bill. We think the study approach will give us the best path forward to make sure we're not putting changes to statute before the science. And we support dam removal. We just want to make sure that we have the foundation to support any changes that may be warranted to the service area. So thank you, Delegate Bulva.
All right, and then against.
I'm not against. Oh, I just broke my. I have a clarification request from Delegate Bulva. Can I have one committee do all 3 of these? Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir. And do we have anyone against? We have one in the virtual room, a Philip Mussingas from the Potomac River Keepers Network. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Actually, in light of the fact that this has changed to a study bill, we are no longer opposed. We support Delegate Bulva's decision to put this forth for study. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, and with that in line, let's go ahead and call up Delegate Goditis. I think your bill is the 1283 is the other nutrient bank, nutrient trading, wetlands, and the trifecta we're dealing with today. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yes, nutrient credit trading. I've been trying to protect my home county of Clark from the issues resulting from this practice for several years. So here we go again. HB 1283, I have an amendment in the nature of a substitute, Mr. Chairman.
Can we distribute the substitute? Thank you.
All right. We ready?
Let me pull it up 1 second. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Chairman, my home county of Clark is so embattled on this issue that this is their top legislative request. The bill comes to me and to my chief co-patron, Delegate Weber, from our localities, Clark and Fauquier counties. Both those counties are losing farmland to the nutrient credit trading program. And last year, we were able to convene a stakeholder work group, and DEQ produced a report about this program already. So developers buy these credits from a nutrient bank, which is a plot of land that is then reforested. Under the current program, developers can either buy credits within their own watershed section, called a hydrologic unit code, or a neighboring HUC. But the problem here is that localities like Clark and Fauquier, with agriculture being such an extensive part of their economic health, are losing high volumes of farmland. There are only 4 counties in the whole state that have more than 1,000 acres of land in permanent nutrient banks, and those are Clark, Fauquier, Westmoreland, and Buckingham. And that's about 30% of all the converted land in these 4 counties. So it is harming certain localities. The bill does 3 things. It disallows the purchase of nutrient credits outside of the HUC where the development is happening. And that keeps the development mitigation closer to the development itself, which makes sense both ecologically and in terms of community impact. And the amendment is that it disallows the creation of nutrient credit banks on important, prime, or unique farmland as defined by an existing section of the code. And it also, the last thing it does is it asks DEQ to produce a report with more data about the impacts of this program, which will help us set smart and sustainable parameters going forward. And I believe there are people here to speak for it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for the delegate? All right. Let's see if we have one person in the room, in the virtual room, to speak for it. Dan Holmes from Culpeper, are you in the room?
I am, sir. Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. Just wanted to express our support for the bill. We're hopeful that this will help generate additional credits opportunities within the areas where development is occurring. As the delegate noted, we're seeing high volume of credits generated from outside being purchased within our localities, and it is having a significant impact on some of the more important farmlands that are utilized by both Fauquier and Clark. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't know if, also in the virtual room, I don't know if Brett Fassey has to weigh in on this, or if you have no position.
CEO of the Virginia Manufacturers Association. Mr. Chairman, we are interested in whether or not the DEQ has any comments if this would constrain trading in the central Virginia region, particularly in the James River Basin. This program is highly utilized by manufacturers. We depend on it for our growth. And we're just completely unclear if this bill would constrain trading, particularly in the James. And that would be very helpful to understand about this bill, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, you want to ask DEQ if you can answer that question?
Thank you. DEQ's position is to oppose this bill, and the reason is, number one, it'll reduce the supply of credits and have a negative effect on economic development. We also, as we noticed last week, the credit amounts that you're going to get per acre of conversion has been cut in more than half in 2020. So what I've been told is that we haven't seen any new credit banks starting after that grandfathering period was over. So the economics of the banks have been reduced significantly. So we don't think it's a significant problem. But most importantly, our number one goal is to reduce regulation and to improve the economic climate and to protect the environment at the same amount. Mitigation credits like this protect the environment. Restricting the supply and the service area increases costs and decreases competition, which is not good for the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the room would like to speak in favor of the bill?
My name is Bav McKay. I'm on the Board of Supervisors from Clark County. I'm also on the Farm Bureau Board of Directors from Clark County. This bill has become, nutrient trading has become one of our priority issues with Board of Supervisors. I'd like to read you a little statement here. The Clark County Board of Supervisors has become increasingly concerned about the potential loss of farmland due to the nutrient credit trading practice that allows land conversion from agriculture to forest. Currently, this issue has been identified as a primary priority for Clark County. Nutrient trading is not allowed by any of the 3 Bay states, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Virginia is the only one that allows this. Currently, Clark County has lost somewhere between 1,000 and 1,800 acres, depends upon how much you want to count the rock breaks and so on. We've lost 1,891 acres gross to this nutrient trading program. Clark County is an attractive place for nutrient credit banks due to the HUC's adjacency to other Potomac HUCs. And HUC is a hydraulic unit code.
All right, thank you. We need to move on. Everyone's
okay
for a minute. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Martha Moore, Virginia Farm Bureau. And we are here to support this bill. And while this may be hurting economic development or potentially hurting economic development in some sectors, right now the current law hurts economic development as far as agriculture, as we are losing prime farmland in certain localities, and it is hurting their ability in order to have a capacity for those farms to remain viable. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Kyle Shreve on behalf of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. I served on the stakeholder work group throughout the summer that Delegate referenced earlier, and we do appreciate her inclusion of the protection of prime ag, and important ag land. We are an organization that supports the preservation of working farm and forests. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone would like to speak against the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Shannon Varner here. I represent a number of the mitigation bankers that would be impacted by this bill. I'm not going to rehash all the issues that we talked about last week. The impact on the landowner's property rights, the investment-backed expectations that people like my clients have made in this, and the change in the service areas impact on all of those. I do want to point out that there's already existing regulations that require, when there are local water quality issues, that the nutrient credits be purchased closer and closer on smaller scale hucks than is even in this bill. So we're already facing that. This on top of that just compounds the issues that were raised by the bill from last week. I'd also like to say, the DEQ did have a study last year that met one time, and the outcome of that study was we really needed more information, and the second enactment clause to her bill would bring forward some of that information that I think would better inform the decisions on how to do those important things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Evan Bernosky. I'm with the Home Builders. We oppose the bill as was originally written for all of the reasons that you've already heard. We do think it would be prudent to collect data before making changes to code. And as written, I also just want to note that this would actually take us in the opposite direction. The development community needs more credits, and this would have given us less, and that's a big concern for us. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Phil Abraham on behalf of the Virginia Association for Commercial Real Estate. We opposed this legislation in previous sessions, and we continue to do so. As Mr. Varner mentioned, there was a DEQ stakeholder group on this, but it only met once. It came up with a lot of different ideas for possibly addressing the problem, and I think it would be prudent to get the group back together and to really explore those options. Also, this is about a lot more than just commercial and residential development. School construction projects depend on these credits. Major highway construction projects depend on these credits. So we don't want to do anything that would have those unintended consequences. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. At this time, if there's no one else to speak on the bill, we have three bills going in different directions. And I would entertain a motion to gently lay the three bills on the table with the caveat that we need to reconvene the work group with a letter that basically, I think the best thing that Delegate Godida's bills was talk about the data. We don't have the data that's needed to really make sure that we're not losing prime farmland versus marginal farmland. And then we also need to make sure the development community has an option so we won't stop development, whether it be schools, private homes, or whatever. So we've got two different, that would be my wish that we could do. So if someone would make that motion, I would appreciate it.
Second.
The motion is to take the three bills, gently lay them on the table with a letter.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
would it be possible to include in the letter some more substance about the number of times this working group will meet in order to focus on what the patron is asking, collecting the data and some of the other information per, I guess we heard that it only met once last time.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I think that's appropriate. I think the scope of it will be put together rather between Dr.
Patrons.
Boba. I think it is very well versed in this, and we'll make sure that we have all input on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to try to take this as a bundle these up and gently lay them on the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Is that all of them? I just saw corners.
Did they all do it corners, all three?
Oh, well, that's what it said. No.
Yeah, I only saw one, but that's fine. Okay. Delegate Tran, I think, is in the room.
Oh my gosh, it's like right in my head. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm here about HB 949 today.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I first learned about coal tar sealants when I was out on the in my district doing a Chesapeake Bay cleanup day with who my children call Scientist Joe. He's telling us about how toxic coal tar sealants can be to our public health, particularly our kids, as well as wildlife. So driveway sealant containing coal tar has high levels of toxic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, and levels 1,000 times higher than asphalt-based alternatives. Coal tar sealants have been shown to be a dominant source of toxic PAHs in some of our waterways, and drastic declines have been documented when local prohibitions have been adopted. VDOT has stopped using coal tar sealants. Large stores like Home Depot and Lowe's have also stopped selling these products. There are 4 other types of alternatives: asphalt-based, acrylic paint, fast dry, and oil-based. These are all significantly less toxic to the environment and have similar price points and are just as effective. Coal tar sealants and PAHs at large are problematic for important Virginia fishing sources such as oysters, fish, freshwater mussels, and more. Exposure leads fish to develop cancer and tumors, lesions. Oysters have reduced spat set and fertilization. Mussels have reduced survivorship. There have also been examples of PAH toxicity in wildlife in the Elizabeth River, where PAHs have driven cancer in fish, and in the Clinch River, where mussel populations have degraded by PAHs. So the Chesapeake Bay program has prioritized PAH as one of the most important toxic contaminants to the bay. And there's prominent public health implications, particularly for kids. Studies have shown that residents who live adjacent to parking lots with coal tar-based seal coats have PAH concentrations in their house dust that are 25 times higher in toxin load than that of residents not adjacent to coal tar-based parking lots.
and also people who live in nearby parking lots where coal tar sealants have been used have a 38 times greater likelihood of developing cancer. I should have started by saying I do have a substitute that I talked to most of you about earlier, and I'd like to move that substitute, which changes our proposal to having giving localities the option to ban the use of coal tar sealants.
So now the substitute can be put in front of us.
Yeah, thank you. And so the substitute giving localities this option will allow them to address this issue particularly for their communities. And we think that's the most appropriate way to move forward on this issue at this time. And so I look forward to the conversation this afternoon.
Okay, are there any questions for the patron? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Kathy. I apologize, Mr. Chair, I would ask the patron, is it reasonable to think that eliminating this source would reduce toxins or somehow improve the water quality? Why are we thinking this will work?
Absolutely, I do. I do have some experts who are with us today, either in the room or online, who might be able to get a little bit more at the science as to why that is possible and why we're trying to provide localities with this option. If I could phone my friend, Mr. Chair.
And your friend is?
Well, I had a friend in the room, but he is not. He was going to be here. Who are my friends on? Will be my friend on.
So we have no friend.
There's Dr. Joe, and I think Professor Unger is also a friend of ours too.
So which friend would you like to phone?
I think I'm going to look at Professor Unger, who is with VIMS, the Virginia Institute for Marine Science.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mark Lukenbach from the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and Professor Unger does have some relevant expertise. I'm just here to say that that VIMS doesn't support or oppose individual bills. We are, as you're well aware, a statutory obligation to be a science advisor. So Mike's not on here to make a statement for or against, but to tell you and answer your questions about PAH.
Mr. Chair.
In the environment.
Yes, David.
If I can, since you made the track all the way up to the podium. So I guess we're looking at potential alternatives to coal tar. What is the relative impact in terms of PAHs and other toxic components from that versus the alternatives? I'm just trying to get an idea of the relative magnitude, and given that a lot of the larger box stores no longer sell it, kind of is this low-hanging fruit where we get some good bang for our buck by just saying, hey, this isn't appropriate because the relative risk is X times more high?
I do think that Mike Unger, Professor Unger, is the appropriate one to answer that question than me.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The alternatives, the petroleum-based products as opposed to the coal tar products, have much reduced concentrations of the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. The coal tar-derived sealants can be 5 to 20% in content of PAHs, which is extremely high. These compounds are known to have effects to aquatic organisms at parts per billion concentrations. So yeah, there's definitely a benefit from the alternative in terms of reducing these toxic compounds.
All right. Any other questions for the patron? All right. So, yes, sir, Delegate Wilt.
So for the last presenter, Mr. Unger, I think it was. So could you expound a little bit? You're talking about the concentrations. So can you help me understand? Are those concentrations you're speaking of? I mean, are they in lab situation? That type of thing, or are they concentrations that are actually found out wherever?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So we've been studying these. I've been studying these compounds for over 30 years now in Chesapeake Bay, and places where we have high concentrations of these PAH compounds, we actually have populations of fish with cancer. So this is not just lab studies. This is actually studies in the field. And I've actually done a little bit of work looking at the concentrations in runoff from coal tar sealed asphalt, and they're definitely elevated and available in the water that runs off during a rainfall event, for instance. So the relationship between these compounds and toxic effects are well known and well studied. If we see concentrations above about 45 parts per million in sediments, we see adverse effects in the benthic community and an increased potential risk of cancer in fish in those populations near those contaminated sediments.
Mr. Chairman, follow-up question? Yes, sir. When you were speaking of the PAHs, so are there other sources of that in the waters and so forth that could be contributing?
Absolutely. PAHs are what we call ubiquitous compounds. They're formed by the incomplete combustion of organic matter. In the cases of the Elizabeth River, some of the sources are creosote. These are also the compounds of concern in cigarette smoke, for instance. When you burn tobacco, you form PAHs, and we've known that PAHs can cause cancer for over 100 years. So they're widespread. There's multiple sources that are potential sources for PAHs. In terms of runoff from stormwater events, we see high concentrations from areas that have less permeable surfaces, and we see increased concentrations, and this is from runoff events.
All right, thank you. Yes, question?
Which is, like, why is eliminating this particular source, how is that going to improve our waterways, or how is it going to reduce
Toxins in the waterways.
Mr. Chair, I would answer Delegate Williams-Graves by noting that I think Dr. Unger just stated that in areas where there are high concentrations of PAH, we've found, for example, increased cancer and other illnesses in our fish. But I think that tied with what Delegate Wilt was asking about, is this the only source? Clearly, it's not the only source, but it is one source that we could definitely contain. And I think we should try to make the move to allow localities the option of doing so if they so wish.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, if there are no more questions from the committee, we will go to the virtual room. We have a few people to speak in favor of House Bill 949, and there is a substitute. So if you could draw your comments to the substitute, and we will time it to a minute each, please. Thank you. We will go with, at first is Dr. Joe Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Joe Wood, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We strongly support this bill, which provides a tool for local governments to utilize if they choose. We ask for your support for three reasons. First, these toxic sealants degrade our fisheries, shellfish, and wildlife. Second, these products have significant human health impacts, particularly for small children. And finally, we believe there's little, if any, negative impact to the applicators, as they're similarly priced alternatives, and these have a reduced exposure. This legislation isn't asking anyone to stop sealing their driveway. It simply provides willing localities a choice to prevent applicators from using a product that's a major health risk and bad for wildlife. Dozens of peer-reviewed studies support these claims. Addressing stormwater can be complex and expensive, and eliminating pollutant sources is often the most cost-effective approach. Several years ago, this legislature chose to keep phosphorus out of lawn fertilizers because it simply wasn't needed, and the results have had a significant positive effect. We believe this bill has a similar level of cost benefit, and we'd ask you to support this bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Pat Calvert.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Chair. Pat Calvert, Virginia Conservation Network. For the reasons you just heard from Dr. Joe, we are fully in support of this legislation.
Okay, Dr. Tom Ennis.
Sorry, it's just Mr. Tom Ennis, but I'm with Coal Tar Free America. I ran the first ban in the country from Austin, Texas. I just want to clarify, I've been working on this for over 15 years and helping communities around the country deal with this. To be clear on the products, Virginia probably uses between 5 and 10 million gallons of this stuff every year. The easy number to remember is the products in the bucket would be 1,000 times less concentration. When Austin passed its ban, in 8 years after it passed its ban, we had a decrease of about 60% in PAH values in our local receiving stream. The other thing I wanted to point out to you with regard to human effects, there was an article that some of you may have gotten, but in Loudoun Times Mirror a few years ago, where a community was all up in arms because they figured out the toxicity of this stuff. And one of the community members, people had headaches, nausea from the application because it was done community-wide. And somebody said, well, we have people who are saying it's safe because Virginia allows it. That's my testimony. And I'll take questions if you're interested.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would just support the comments already made by Dr. Wood at Chesapeake Bay Foundation and other commenters. Shenandoah Riverkeeper and Potomac Riverkeeper Network strongly support this bill and ask you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last in the virtual room for the bill is Jamie Brunkow.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I just want to also lend our support from the James River Association for the bill and just point out the ubiquitous nature of PAHs. We've got to take some common sense policy moves to really control the sources, and I think this makes a lot of sense to protect our aquatic environment, but also the people who are around these areas. Moreover, it gives localities the option. So we support it and strongly encourage you to pass the bill.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll move to those that are against the bill. Brett, are you in the room?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Brett Vassy, CEO of the Virginia Manufacturers Association and the Virginia Chemistry Council. Let me give you just a couple of details. Number one, the EPA has not listed coal tar-based pavement products as a hazardous waste, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has not identified it as a carcinogen, number one. Number two, tar-based sealers pass the EPA's toxicity characteristic leaching procedure. That's a test used by the EPA to identify hazardous waste. And then finally, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services didn't include this in its 14th report on carcinogens, which lists potential carcinogens, pavement sealers, or any PAHs contained in sealers. Didn't exist in any of them. So the last point we want to make you aware of is we have no idea how a local government will have the sophistication to measure 10,000 milligrams per kilogram on any products. And this would be the first time we've ever delegated to a local government a scientific decision on the sale of a commercially allowable, legally allowable product. And we ask that you pass this bill back.
Thank you, Brett. Anyone else in the room would like to speak for or against the bill?
Good afternoon. My name is Chris French, and I'm here speaking as an individual citizen of the Commonwealth regarding this bill. I believe that it's a very good bill, and it would have tremendous benefit to the environment as well as to municipalities and property owners, especially those who live in homeowner associations and property owners associations. A lot of the PAHs that you see that leach from these type of products end up binding to sediments that flows downstream during stormwater events, and they accumulate in stormwater ponds. As a result of that, when you go to clean out these ponds for maintenance purposes, if you have a lot of these chemicals being present, the toxicity levels are really high. The property owners and the municipalities are responsible at that point for disposing of those toxic soils properly. A pollution prevention measure such as this has tremendous economic benefits so that it's not laid upon the municipalities or individual property owners who may have to deal with this over time. And I would strongly urge that you support this bill.
Thank you. Could DEQ come up and take a question or two about this? Seems like this is a substance that is legally bought.
Okay. The administration's position was to oppose this bill originally. We have not we saw the amendment earlier this afternoon from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and they said they would pass this by for a week so we could have the governor's legislative staff review it as well and give us a position. And so I wasn't prepared to speak about it. But 2 hours ago, that's what they told me.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to speak against the bill? Yes, ma'am.
Are you finished with? Yes, I just wanted to speak to the bill. I wanted to commend the patron for bringing this bill to us. Some of us are not experts and have not been experts, on the coal tar sealant at all. And just reading more about it and hearing more about it, it's kind of shocking and disturbing at best. This is a local option. HB 949 would provide the localities the option to prohibit the sale. We're talking about environmental concerns. We're talking about health concerns. We're talking about our children. All of us that are here, obviously, are here as elected officials to keep people safe and keep Virginians safe. And we have an opportunity to provide this local option, which would do just that. The United States Geological Survey states, I guess, that the coal tar sealant reports that it's, for cancer risk for people living adjacent to coal tar seal-coated pavement, 38 times higher than for people living adjacent to unsealed pavement. I think that's shocking and disturbing. And also hearing that the coal tar dust and particles can be inhaled and also airborne, washed into our stormwater, and can enter the body through contact with the skin. I think I certainly heard enough. I would think we all did to realize that this is potential would be potentially harmful. And again, HB 949 allows the localities the options. The fact that VDOT has already stopped using it, the fact that, many of the large retailers, Ace, Lowe's, Home Depot, and others have stopped selling it, I think is certainly enough for me. And I'm not sure if motion is in order right now, but I'd like to move to report unless there's more people that would like to speak to it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. And a
Mr.
second.
Chair, alternate motion.
We have a substitute motion.
Move to table.
So we have a higher order to table the bill.
Mr. Chair, can I have a last word?
Last word.
Thank you. I want to note, earlier one of our speakers noted that coal tar sealants are an allowable product. They're legal. They can be sold in our big box stores and anywhere else on the marketplace. And why would we, for the first time ever, delegate to somebody or take action against a legal product? In 2011, Governor Bob McDonnell signed a bill into law to prohibit the sale, use, and distribution of lawn fertilizer containing phosphorus. I just did a quick search because I'm not a fertilizer expert, but I think phosphorus in fertilizer is an allowable product, and we banned that use because we recognize the importance to our public health and our environment in doing so. I see the writing on the wall for this particular bill, but I want to note that we do take steps when it's important in recognition of protecting Virginians' health and our wildlife, and I hope that we can continue this conversation in the future and we have that recognition to give localities that tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. We have a motion that is properly seconded to table House Bill 949. Please vote on the board. The motion is laid on the table 5-4. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delegate Scott. House Bill 1067.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This bill is one that is identical in nature to Senate Bill 355. There are a couple of amendments that I'd like to present to the committee first before we get started. The first one is on page 5, line 297, strike 4.0, insert 3.0. Page 5, line 298, strike 0.30 and insert 0.22. And then page 6, after line 276, add that the nutrient technology requirements of 3.0 milligrams per liter total nitrogen and 22 milligrams per liter total phosphorus for the Fredericksburg Water Treatment Facility established in the first enactment clause of this act shall take effect and apply on an annual basis when the expanded Fredericksburg Water Treatment Facility receives its certificate to operate.
Did we get that? Lisa? Okay, you have that. Okay, so the substitute's out. Do we have can I have a second? Or
No, we need a motion.
we need a motion to accept them.
Move to accept the amendment.
All right, so now the amendments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so now the amendments are in front of us.
And those amendments are identical to the ones that were made to the Senate bill.
And can you explain what you're doing here?
Yes, sir. So in 2021, General Assembly passed House Bill 2129 and Senate Bill 1354, which created an enhanced nutrient removal certainty program. What we're trying to do is we're trying to add City of Fredericksburg to that list. City of Fredericksburg was not previously included on that list because they were trying to work in conjunction with Spotsylvania County to facilitate the wastewater treatment. That did not go as planned, and so they're wanting to be added. And so there's currently 13 wastewater treatment plants on this scheduled program, and the City of Fredericksburg has requested to be added to making it the 14th plant included in this program. The city is preparing to undertake a significant expansion and upgrade to its water treatment plant, which was originally built in 1955, and there's only been a few upgrades over the past few decades. This will expand the capacity of the water treatment facility and will also reduce the total nitrogen and phosphorus out from the wastewater treatment plant. It's going to be the biggest public works project that the city of Fredericksburg has undertaken in its history. As I mentioned, there's the two amendments. We have some stakeholders that are in support of this bill. We have the City of Fredericksburg, Friends of the Rappahannock, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and the Virginia Municipal League. To the best of my knowledge, there is no one who is in opposition to adding the City of Fredericksburg to this list. And I do have folks here to speak in favor or to answer any additional questions that I may not be able to answer.
All right, looks like we have a couple questions from the committee. Delegate Weber.
Thank you. Question for Delegate Scott. By adding the City of Fredericksburg to this and undergoing that waterworks, it's going to cost us, it's going to have a significant cost to it. Has this been in the budget?
So to the best of my understanding, the request that the City of Fredericksburg has was in Governor Northam's budget that was presented. Just by adding them to the list does not make the state any more or less responsible. There are still avenues and vehicles available to the City of Fredericksburg to get funding. All they're trying to do is jump on board, which will hold them to the standard of making sure that their water treatment facility is up to these standards by 2025.
And we do have a letter from the speaker that says if we move favorably with this would need to be referred to approach.
Yes.
All right, next, Delegate Will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question is, you said there hasn't been any upgrades.
No, there's been a few, like a small handful of upgrades to the facility. Nothing substantial.
I'm wondering why. I mean, Fredericksburg's been growing and expanding for some decades and so forth, and they didn't see this coming?
From my understanding, it's been something that's been in the works for the past few years, and they're trying to garner the funding for this, and they've made requests previously that have gone unanswered. I know that Senator Stewart has been working on this for a few years, but if the gentleman would like to introduce himself and maybe answer that a little bit further.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Mr. Chairman, Preston Bryant with McGuire Woods representing the City of Fredericksburg. It was built in 1955. There have been a handful of upgrades over the years. Right now, they are still exceeding pretty dramatically their permits. Now, they've been buying credit, so they're in the law. They're compliant with the law, but they've been exceeding nitrogen by almost 7,000 pounds a year and phosphorus by almost a little over 2,000 pounds a year. The Fredericksburg plant is the number one plant on the list in the Rappahannock watershed for this kind of upgrade. They desperately need to upgrade, and this actually commits them to finishing the project by 2026 to further the Commonwealth's interest in the Bay 2025 goals. So they're stepping up to do their part.
All right. The next on the list, Delegate Lopez, I think the patron of last year's mega bill.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the patron. A couple questions, actually. The improvements aren't going to be in place until 2026. our WIP 2025 goals are for 2025. Why wasn't this involved in the previous bill that we put forward that Preston worked on, Chris Pomeroy, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, where we set aside all the money, we set aside the goals, we set aside everything we were trying to do to achieve our WIP goals? What happened with Fredericksburg getting involved in that process then?
As I mentioned, they were originally working with Spotsylvania, which has 3 wastewater treatment plants that are already on the list. But I'll defer again if you have any more information. Is there anything else to add to that?
No, that's correct. They were looking at perhaps doing a regional facility. The timing was they weren't quite ready to join this last year. They wanted to be on it. They were likely to be on it, but the timing is right now, is correct now for them to be on it. And this will, while they have to be completed by January of 2025, January 2026, it will be completed very likely months prior to that in calendar year 2025.
Follow-up, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
No, so we were able to, it's an $800 million bill. We were able to accomplish a great deal of what we wanted through federal pass-through dollars. And then also we were able to set aside around $200 million in general fund money. We're still working on getting it $100 million. I really hope that you will support all the work with the appropriators, on the governor's office and with the majority party in getting that $100 million for the rest of the wastewater treatment plant we're trying to accomplish, especially if Fredericksburg's in part of this process. Will you?
I'm here talking to my bill today, and so I'm not here negotiating. I'm just speaking to the need of my locality.
According to the fiscal impact statement, how much more money will this bill cost?
As I said, this is already in the budget that the governor presented, and it was about $27 million that was being requested.
Billion or?
Million.
Million.
Yeah, not B, M.
All right. Delegate Bolivar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess, Delegate and perhaps Preston or Chris Pomeroy can help out with this question. And so, I guess my concern is the interplay between Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania, right? And so I know sometimes agreements like that sometimes fall through, or people decide that you don't want to do them in tandem like that. I guess my first question is, taken in totality, does this keep us whole with respect to our WIP 3 targets for this? Does it do better? Does it do worse? And then once I ask that question, I got one more follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
So from my understanding right now, the city of Fredericksburg is able to keep in step with what's required of them because of the credit system, but their treatment facility is not able to keep up with the demands of the growing area. And that also includes the growing demands of Spotsylvania and Stafford, which surround it. And many folks from those counties come into the city of Fredericksburg to shop and do business. And so this is an issue that it does affect the greater area. But again, I'll defer to the gentleman.
And maybe, Preston, if I could boil it down a little bit more, is it with Delegate Lopez's bill last year, we were able to go ahead and meet our WIP 3 targets with the projects that were in there. And now my understanding is we're going to have to pay more for that. Please tell me that this actually gets us further along on our WIP 3 goals rather than staying where we are.
I think it does advance the WIP 3 goals from the wastewater sector. As you know, the wastewater treatment sector of the WIP, they have been carrying the day, if you will. And so this moves it along. The amendments keeps them in compliance with their current wastewater, with their anticipated wastewater discharge permit, going from 4.0 to 3.0 and down to 0.22. So those are technical, those are lower permit limits. Perhaps the most advanced technology to get them that low. So this moves the ball forward, no doubt.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And so this will be a question that I think we'll want to also ask in appropriations. But if you had a pot of money and you could invest it in this Fredericksburg plant, how cost efficient is that use versus other uses that you could go ahead and plow this in so we know we're getting best bang for our buck?
Right. So you recall that the purpose behind the ENRC concept was to take those plants that would deliver the greatest bang for the buck in terms of investment versus environmental benefit. This project was contemplated being on that list because of its great benefit for the price paid. We don't know how much they might apply for, whether they're on the list or not. They could apply for WQF just like anybody else. They're still doing the PER that the preliminary engineering report So they haven't gotten to the application stage yet. So we don't know how much they might apply for should they seek to apply.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, it looks like we've got two people speaking for the bill virtually. Brent Hunsinger.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. Thank you. My name is Brent Hunsinger. I'm with Friends of the Rappahannock. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this bill. FOR supports this bill as it bolsters the city of Fredericksburg's efforts to remove nutrients from their wastewater before it reaches the Rappahannock River. We thank the delegate for bringing this bill to the subcommittee, and we hope you will support it as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the mayor, Mayor Greenlaw.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Delegate Scott and Mr. Bryant, for so ably presenting the city's position on this. As you know, going on the ENRC list assures that we are going to have a cost-beneficial project and one of the lowest nutrient discharge levels technologically possible. And we are committed, absolutely committed to this project. It's vital to the city, and we are committed to the schedule for it. We have been working with Department of Environmental Quality for several years now on these expansion plans, and I'm pleased to say that DEQ has approved our plans as they are at this point. And I would appreciate very much your moving this bill along to include the city on the ENRC list.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, anyone in the room would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon, Mike Rollban again from DEQ, and we support this bill. The administration supports this bill as amended. And to answer Delegate Bulova's question, there's historic data that shows that typically these types of upgrades are at least an order of magnitude more cost effective than, for example, stormwater management facilities. So I think it's a good investment in our money. I know we love stormwater, we both do, but it's a good investment, and it's the right thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Patrick Fanning again with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We were one of the chief negotiators of the Enhanced Nutrient Removal Certainty Program. Last session, we welcomed the addition of Fredericksburg to the program. As you know, the wastewater sector has outperformed almost all other sectors, and we've relied on them for meeting our Bay TMDL goals. And so adding another plant that's going to be at reduced nutrient concentrations is a good way to have durable credits that are easy to account for, and we welcome the City of Fredericksburg upgrade. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And anyone here to speak against the bill?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would like to move to report and refer to appropriations.
All right, so we have a motion to report and refer to appropriations on House Bill as amended. As amended, House Bill 1067. All right, let's open up the voting board, please. All right, House Bill 1067 reports on a 9-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, committee.
Did I see Delegate Willett come in the room? All right. Your House Bill 1228.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have actually two amendments to that I want to bring to your attention.
Second.
All right, so we motion all agree to the amendments. Say aye. Aye. All right, let's put the amendments in front of us here.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can even, yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Mr. Chairman, there's 3 line amendments. On line 18, after the word "a," strike "new or an increased." On line 28, after "require," strike "all." And on line 30, after "analyses," insert comma "as necessary to supplement information available from other sources." And these amendments are also available in LAS.
All right, Explain the bill, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. HB 1228 would ensure that Virginia DEQ meets current legal requirements by ensuring all relevant water quality data are considered under the Commonwealth's anti-degradation policy. The current law says the DEQ and the water board may authorize activities that would lower water quality if the activity is justified by, quote, necessary economic or social development, end quote, and if other requirements are met. However, DEQ cannot know whether the quality is being lowered or by how much unless they know what the underlying baseline condition of the water is. This bill will require DEQ to document the baseline water quality for the relevant chemical and biological parameters affected by the proposed activity. I can also note this also authorizes DEQ to require permit applicants to provide information sufficient for the DEQ to conduct its analysis. Just to summarize, the bill does not substantially change our current process for anti-degradation analysis. It simply requires the agency to document the quantitative baseline conditions so we can ensure our current legal requirements are met.
All right, thank you. Are there questions for the delegate? All right, hearing none. We do have some people signed up to speak for the bill in the virtual room. Pat Calvert. Is Pat in the room? Yep. All right, let's go to Linda Majors.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair and the subcommittee. I'm here in support of HB 1228. I'm Linda Majors from Montgomery County, Virginia. My home is at the base of Brush Mountain, at the top of which is the Eastern Continental Divide, with some water flowing to the Chesapeake and the other side flowing to the Mississippi. Brush Mountain has been trenched up one side and down the other for the Mountain Valley Pipeline. This is pure mountain source water for people in all the watersheds from here to the Chesapeake that has been disrupted and polluted with sediment from the runoff from the bare slopes from this construction. HB 1228 requiring DEQ to document baseline water quality is important recognition that we must protect this finite resource critical to human survival from degradation, especially if it is source water that serves millions of people hundreds of miles away. Cleaning up polluted and sediment-laden water is so much more difficult than protecting it. By voting to pass HB 1228 out of the subcommittee today, you will all have understood the importance of Virginia waters to the Commonwealth, ensuring that communities and the commerce in them continue to thrive. Thank you.
Time is up. Next is Linda Singh. Please speak your
Yes. Mr. Chairman, my name is Linda Parsons Sink. I'm a private citizen from rural Montgomery County, Virginia. I'm speaking on approving HB 1228 bill for requiring DEQ to document a baseline water quality before entities like Mountain Valley can be permitted to construct pipelines across our state. My family has a clear running spring that is now being destroyed by ongoing sediment contamination originating from MVP construction. In 2018, after MVP started blasting the trench on Johnson's Ridge, our spring was contaminated with the mud from the very next rain. This was a clear running spring. My grandfather bought the land in 1966. After blasting and 71 days later, they found the swallow open, dye traced it to our spring, mitigated the swallow, buried the pipe, and then claimed no more sedimentation would be coming from the pipeline. Right now, we are participating in a water study plan, which is being funded by MVP to provide more clarity to why our spring is continually experiencing sediment contamination when it never happened in the past. MVP is adamant that their mitigation.
Ms. Sims is in the room. Then let's move on to David Sly.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, David Sly with Wild Virginia. We support this bill. We thank you for the chance to speak and thank Delegate Willett for carrying it. As Delegate Willett said, DEQ has had the responsibility to do the anti-degradation analysis actually for decades. This measure is just to make sure that it happens and that they have the material they need, the information they need to do it. There is no credible way to assess increases in pollution in a high-quality water unless you know what it looks like right now. And that's the aim of this bill, and we ask the committee to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move around the room. Who wants to speak in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Peter Anderson. I'm with Appalachian Voices. I would thank Delegate Willig for bringing the bill. We're in support. It's common sense that we make decisions with the best and most complete information possible. We think this bill does that, and so we thank the delegate. I hope you support the bill.
All right, thank you. And next?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Connor Kish with the Sierra Club Virginia chapter. We also support the bill. Won't repeat all the reasons. We'll agree with Mr. Sly and Mr. Anderson. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Patrick Fanning, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We support the bill for the reasons already given. We thank the delegate for bringing it.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll go to the virtual room. Those against, looks like Brett Bassey, are you still in the room?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I feel like a broken record, but we oppose House Bill 1228 in its current format. Really, at this point, I think you've already heard testimony that 9 VAC 25-260-30 already has an anti-degradation policy, and DEQ applies that for high-quality water in all cases. So we don't really know what else you could do. But this creates a question about all surface waters in the Commonwealth establishing this new baseline condition. We have no idea what the impact would be, but we have to believe it would significantly slow all permitting and reauthorizations. And then finally, there is some language about all chemical and biological in the bill, and it's not defined. We don't know what that means either. So there's so many red flags in this bill about what expansion this would have an impact on permitting in the Commonwealth for all. I know folks are trying to, but this affects all businesses. We're standing with that, Mr. Chairman. So for those reasons, we ask you to pass the bill by.
Thank you. And Kyle?
Mr. Chairman, Kyle Shreve on behalf of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. I'll associate myself with the comments made by Mr. Vassy and just say we believe the measure is unnecessary. We're not sure exactly how it would be implemented or what kind of baseline conditions would be set. There's an awful lot of things that can impact water quality, both natural and unnatural, and we're worried about being held to a standard with which the industry had nothing to do with. So we do oppose the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Parker with Advanced 6 Chemical Manufacturer out of Hopewell, Virginia. We oppose the bill for the points that Brett laid out, the unclear nature of the necessary broad and how broad it is, right, that it makes it very difficult to figure out how to comply and concerned with permitting reasons moving forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. My name is Mike Osterling. I'm Executive Director of Shellfish Growers of Virginia. We oppose the bill. We also agree with Mr. Vassy. There are a lot of unknowns in this bill that industry is concerned about. First of all, it's going to cost us more money. If we are required to do testing in advance to provide information for a permit, first of all, we'd like to know what we have to test for. We do not know. Secondly, there's questions about if our permit comes up for renewal, do we need to submit a new baseline? Because it is going to change. So there are some unknowns that the industry would prefer to be spelled out before this is passed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Kim Husky representing the Virginia Seafood Council. I'd like to
thank Delegate Willett for meetings with some industry members last week to try to alleviate our concerns about this bill. But we are continue to oppose the bill for all of the aforementioned reasons stated by agribusiness and shellfish growers. Virginia at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting me speak again. The administration and DEQ strongly oppose this bill for several reasons. Number one, the bill would effectively eliminate the DEQ general permit program, which has ramifications statewide. Number two, it's going to increase the time and cost that's required for anybody to obtain a permit, which is not good for our economy. And number three, there's a fiscal impact, and we've communicated all this to the patron staff. DEQ has not gotten the final impact statement approved through the process yet, but we communicated our estimate is $19.2 million per year to implement this regulation. That's 160 full-time equivalents. And the reason is we have to process 400 new VWP individual permits, which is another 28 people, 10 FTEs to process 50 new VIPTES individual permits, and 122 FTEs, full-time employees, to process approximately 1,000 new VIPTES individual permits. We simply don't have the resources, and it's going to have a huge impact on the economic environment of the state. Thank you.
Move to table.
Second.
All right, we have a non-debatable motion to table the bill, and it has been properly seconded. Bill is gently laid on the table, 7-3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so next up are committee members' bills. Going to be House Bill 899, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'd like to move
Substitute properly seconded. Can I have all in favor say aye?
Aye. Thank you. I'd like to thank Ms. Wallmeyer and the council's office for being so very helpful with this process. I can explain the changes, or if Ms. Wallmeyer would like to. I'm happy to do it. So in line 17, what we've done is we've raised, or first off, let me just say this bill is much more simple bill than the 2020 version of this legislation. It's far fewer requirements than what Virginia currently imposes on oil tanks. It really imposes no substantive mandates on who can build a tank, where they can be built, or construction and operation requirements. It doesn't really require any inspections or new equipment. It's simply an inventory bill. And so what the bill does in terms of the changes we've made is on line 17, we've raised the gallon threshold from 250 gallons to 1,320, which mirrors the federal law. Also, pages or lines 196 to 191 to 196. We've changed from 1,000 to 50,000 to 1,000 to 10,000. And then on line 192, we've no longer made mandatory civil penalties. It's now a much different, it's processed up to the will of a judge. And then we've changed in lines 115 to 121. The costs are only $50 for a tank that's 1,320 gallons to 5,000 gallons, $250 for over 5,000 to 25,000 gallons, and then $600 for tanks that are larger than 25,000 gallons. So basically, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, what we're dealing with here is Virginia has no legislation in place that tracks, or code language that tracks the location or inventory of large chemical above-ground storage tanks. But DEQ does have an inventory and database for oil storage tanks. These tanks have the potential to cause a great deal of damage and harm to local communities. DEQ's own database of spills showed that more than 4,800 chemical spills from tanks occurred in Virginia between 2000 and 2020, and about 230 per year. A 2016 DEQ, DOH, and DEM report mandated by the General Assembly concluded that there were gaps in Virginia's regulation of chemical storage tanks, and we needed a framework for inventorying and registering a defined universe of chemical storage facilities and inventory of materials. 10 other states are already doing this, including West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Florida. And here's the thing. A 2014 chemical spill in Charleston, West Virginia strongly highlights the need for action. Toxic chemicals leaked from corroded tanks and contaminated the city's water supply and delayed their General Assembly session for a week. For a week. Our rural communities cannot afford to take the hits, whether economic or public health related, from mistakes like these. My bill, HB 899, establishes a new program for the registration of chemical storage tanks in the Commonwealth. The program would parallel Virginia's existing database and inventory for oil storage tanks, and the program is fully privatized. There's no new revenue should be needed. It's funded by reasonable fees for tank registration, as I laid out, from $50 for the smallest tanks to $600 for the largest tanks in the Commonwealth. It exempts all tanks on farms, tanks that contain non-hazardous substances like water, milk, or food products. It exempts oil tanks, and it exempts tanks in the natural gas industry. The 1,320-gallon threshold was chosen because it parallels federal Clean Water Act requirements and Virginia Code requirements for oil tanks. I believe this is a common sense information disclosure bill. It's aimed at building a simple registry so we can get a handle on the number and contents of these tanks. And like I said earlier, it's much more simple than the 2020 version of this legislation, and it has far fewer requirements than what Virginia currently imposes on oil tanks. It imposes no substantive mandates on who we can build a tank, where, like I said before, on where they can be built, on construction or operation requirements. It does not require any inspections of new equipment. Ultimately, communities across Virginia should have the right to be able to have this information at their disposal. If our state starts tracking potentially hazardous chemical storage tanks, every Virginian benefits. And I want to say that I really appreciated my conversations over the last several, few years with folks like Brett Vassy, from Virginia Manufacturers Association, and folks in several other communities. And like I said, we've really pared this bill down from, as people remember, it was a couple dozen pages before. Now it's simply an inventory bill. But we've seen what can happen in other states. We've seen what happens in Virginia in terms of the number of spills that take place. It's a small bill. I'd love to have your support. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Lopez from the committee? Yeah, so we're going to do the substitute. Right? So let's go to the ones that have signed up for it virtually. Minovi, is she on there? Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. All right. So my name is Daria Minovi. I'm an environmental health researcher at the Center for Progressive Reform. There's currently very little data about the quantity, quality, and contents of above-ground chemical storage tanks, or ASTs, in Virginia. Last year, my colleagues and I attempted to fill this gap, estimating that there may be somewhere between 2,700 and 5,400 currently unregulated chemical ASTs in the Commonwealth. We also analyzed reports submitted to DEQ's Pollution Response Program. Between 2000 and 2020, there were some 4,800 reports of spills, releases, improper storage, and illegal dumping involving chemical ASTs in tanks, an average of 230 incidents per year. Incidents occurred most frequently in Northern Virginia, where I was born and raised, as well as in Richmond, Hampton Roads, and the Blue Ridge region. The most impacted cities and counties are home to a third of Virginians. Our analysis also found that following hurricanes Isabel, Irene, and Matthew, the number of tank pollution reports increased between 2 to 8-fold. House Bill 899 will enable Virginia regulators to account for tanks and ensure that communities are notified in the event of a toxic spill. We urge the committee to adopt a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. David Flores.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. House Bill 899 would establish a registration program administered by DEQ for these presently unregulated tanks. This proposal, as Delegate Lopez explained, is modeled after existing regulations for oil tanks in Virginia that have been on the books for decades. It also exempts on-farm tanks used for agricultural purposes, like mixing and application of pesticides. This bill implements the joint recommendations of the Departments of Environmental Quality, Emergency Management, and Health contained in the agency's 2016 report, Chemicals in the Commonwealth. The report was the result of Senate Bill 811, patroned by former Republican Senator John Watkins, and unanimously passed by both chambers of the General Assembly in 2015. The agencies found that these tanks are unregulated under both state and federal law. More immediately, Virginia regulators do not have access to information about the quantity of these tanks, their size, location, hazardous chemical contents, the conditions of the tanks, and the spill prevention response measures, if any, currently in place to minimize the risks of chemical disasters. HB 899 would give Virginia regulators what they've asked for in order to comply with their responsibilities to protect our communities, first responders, drinking water, and the environment from chemical disasters.
Thank you. Is Mr. Noah Sachs in the room?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Noah Sachs. I'm a professor of environmental law at University of Richmond, and I've been following these toxics issues for many years. I speak in support of this bill. In addition to the Elk River spill that Delegate Lopez mentioned in West Virginia, there have been some major spills from tanks in Virginia itself, one near Roanoke, one in Chesapeake, and one in Petersburg, just in the past 5 years or so. In fact, DEQ keeps a database of spills from these tanks, and their own information shows over 1,400 spills of chemicals from above-ground storage tanks. So this is not a small problem. It's a threat to communities. It's also a threat to waterways, since much of Virginia's industry is located on waterways. And my conclusion is that this is a common sense starting point, since it doesn't have any substantive standards for tanks. The main benefit is it gives an inventory of where the tanks are and what they contain, and that is a big starting point to solving this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, I'll stop here.
Is Pat Calvert?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Pat Calvert, Virginia Conservation Network. I'm back. So we have thousands of above-ground storage tanks across the state, and we don't know where they are. We don't know what's in them, and we don't know how often they're regulated. This exempts agricultural tanks. We think it's as Noah just said, I think it's a pretty common sense place to start. And when I feel like I need to be prepared to talk about economic development. I just think about economic consequences of not dealing with these tanks and a risk of a spill. Please consider that. So with that, we support this bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is Philip Musgas in the room?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the time. Philip Usegas with Shenandoah and Potomac River Keepers. We strongly support the bill. I would just note a couple of things. The Shenandoah River, which we work to protect and restore, provides clean drinking water to thousands of Virginians in the Shenandoah Valley. And yet we have no idea what kinds of chemicals are stored near the river, how they're stored, where they're stored, what amounts. We think this is a basic, no-nonsense, common sense approach that will help us get a better handle on, where these chemicals are stored and what risks they may or may not present to public health and to the environment. And I would also note, just in conclusion, several commenters have said that the oil industry has been under these kinds of requirements, and indeed many more stringent requirements for many, many decades, and the oil industry is doing just fine. So in terms of a regulatory burden, the very reasonable fees associated with this registration, we think would not be a burden to the industry. And this is a good first step for public safety and the environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the virtual room, Jamie with the James River Association.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We've been tracking this issue for years as well. The James River provides drinking water for 2.7 million people across the heart of Virginia. And along the river, we have many industries that make all kinds of things and support our economy. And it's just a common sense thing. I think that we want to have a registration system to really understand where these risks lie. Many states have regulatory programs for above ground chemical storage tanks, as you've already heard. We're just talking about getting information to start off with and giving that information to the DEQ and to emergency responders so that we can really understand these risks. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We've seen through the Elk River spill, which knocked out drinking water for about 300,000 people in the Charleston area. If that were to happen in Richmond, I can guarantee we'd be having a lot more urgency in these conversations. The spirit of this bill is really to follow up on the recommendations from the conversations that we had after the Elk River spill in Virginia and the study from Senator Watkins' bill.
Thanks, Jamie. We'll go to.
Thank you. Urge you to support it.
We'll go with whoever's in the room for the bill. All right.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Patrick Fanning again with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We support the bill. We think this is a straightforward information gathering opportunity, and we thank the delegate for bringing it and continuing to work on this issue over the past sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll go to those in the virtual room that are against it. I see Mr. Baum. Hobie?
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. This is Hobie Bowen with Virginia Poultry Federation. And we appreciate the efforts of the delegate to scale it back, but we still have concerns. Our poultry plants have detailed plans for routine maintenance and inspection programs for storage tanks, as well as response plans. In the event of a spill, existing programs would dictate a company response, such as notifying emergency management agencies and DEQ as circumstances require. So we're just concerned about the regulatory burden that this would impose on activities that are really already very carefully managed. So for those reasons, we continue to be opposed to this legislation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And last in the virtual room, Brett.
Chairman, thank you. I do appreciate the delegate trying to introduce this language. We've not seen it yet, but I understand the intent. Let me give you a point of view on this. We don't want any pollution in any waterway either. But to assume that perhaps a lax regulatory agency in another state requires this reaction in our state, that's a non sequitur. We think our agencies of regulatory note do an excellent job of protecting the public. And let me tell you how. There are 16 different regulations of above-ground storage tanks on our manufacturers, ranging from facility and above-ground storage tank regulation 9 VAC 2591 all the way through U.S. Department of Homeland Security's chemical facility anti-terrorism standards. We also have laws governing everything from the Clean Water Act to Federal Hazardous Substance Act to the Resource Conservation Recovery Act. There are 5 more there, a total of 21. And then on top of that, we have industry standards. Mr. Chairman, we think that there's an opportunity for the DEQ to harmonize this rather than create an overlay.
Thank you. And those in the room that are against the bill, please.
Mr. Chairman, Kyle Shreve on behalf of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. I do appreciate the delegate exempting on-farm activities, but as an organization that represents the entire supply chain, I do have a lot of members that are already regulated very heavily at the federal level with regards to standards, especially as Mr. Vassie just said, all the way down through to the Department of Homeland Security. We do believe this bill is continuing to be a regulatory burden, and we continue to oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. And next.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Parker with Advance 6. As we look at this bill, Advance 6's estimated cost to the fees structure at $250,000 just to register our tanks at our 2 facilities here in Virginia. In addition to those significant fees, we also look at this as an Emergency Community Right to Know Act. So we're going to the federal government, Community and Emergency and Planning Right to Know Act. We submit a report every year listing not only the storage tanks, but rail cars, totes, drums of material that are stored, where in the facility they are, down to which operating unit they come from. This information that's needed or supposedly needed is provided in the federal government. It's also provided to state emergency planning, local emergency planning, the local fire department, and DEQ. This bill requires it provides just additional administrative burden that is not necessary to improve the environment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the committee?
I have a motion to lay the bill on the table.
We have a motion and properly seconded, a non-debatable motion to lay the bill on the table. The motion to lay the bill on the table, House Bill 899, is 6-4. All right, we're speeding through the docket. Yeah, it was. House Bill 1224.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a substitute, if we could act on the substitute. And again, thank you for Lisa for. Yeah.
All right, we have a substitute. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so let's get the substitute in front of us.
Mr. Chairman, the substitute is posted on Elias.
All right, so the substitute's in front of us now. Delegate, go ahead and explain the bill.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm going to try to go as concisely as possible kind of through my points just because there's a couple moving parts. Back in 2020, I carried a bill designed to make sure that stormwater management structures that are installed to meet our stormwater regulations actually achieve the stated pollutant reductions. And so that bill was very specifically aimed at what we call proprietary best management practices. And so unlike non-proprietary BMPs, and so if you're driving down the road and you see a pond or a constructed wetland or one of those beautiful dry detention ponds, I think we all kind of get the sense of what those are. These are our proprietary devices, so they are manufactured, they are patented, and they are basically they're companies that go ahead and sell these to developers with the promise that they're going to go ahead and meet certain pollutant reductions. So while DEQ has a lot of research on those non-proprietary BMPs, and so that's all very nationwide, it really is up to each of the manufacturers to demonstrate the pollutant reduction effectiveness of these proprietary BMPs. So that's squarely their responsibility to go ahead and do so. So this is done in two ways. And so the first is verification. And so verification is where you have the raw scientific data that's collected about the effectiveness of the BMP based on specific protocols. And so you know what those protocols are, and then you go out and do the verification. The second step then is certification, which is to say the facility is approved to meet the applicable stormwater management standards. Originally, Virginia had thought about having a program that had its own verification and certification program. That did not pan out for a number of different reasons, and so to ensure the effectiveness of these proprietary BMPs, we passed a law in 2020 basically saying that DEQ could only approve the use of a BMP if it was verified and certified by another state, regional, or national program. So we basically took it out of DEQ's hands, realizing they didn't have the capacity to do that, and said, hey, we're going to rely on other states or programs to do this. And so there's actually two current programs nationwide. There's New Jersey and there's one in Washington State. So all was well until it came to our attention that there was a particular proprietary BMP, even though it was verified, could not be certified because of how it was classified in New Jersey. And so the original bill, the idea was to how do we go ahead and deal with that particular, what we thought was a unique situation. It turns out, though, DEQ and other stakeholders identified kind of a larger issue, which is the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance is actually developing a national program, right? And so we've got two state programs, and now there's going to be potentially a national program out there. However, this is going to be a verification-only program, and so as a result, Virginia would not be able to take advantage of this new national program under the current code, which requires verification and certification. So what the bill does here is a couple things. So first, it keeps the requirement that verification by another state, regional, or national program is required. So we don't have, and probably will never have, our own independent verification program. So that this keeps that squarely in place, and that's very, very important. What the bill does, though, is have certification done by the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense, since the determination about whether a facility meets Virginia stormwater management regulations, not New Jersey stormwater regulations. So, our DEQ knows those rules and regulations better than certainly New Jersey, and New Jersey's not approving them for Virginia or vice versa. The bill also includes safeguards to ensure that all test protocols need to be met or exceeded before certification can occur. And then finally, just because there were a couple of BMPs that have dropped off the list because they could be verified but not certified, doesn't say that you automatically get in. It just says that when DEQ is reviewing these, that you'll go ahead and prioritize them when they go ahead and submit their verification process for consideration of certification. So it doesn't say they have to certify them. It just says that they're going to go ahead and prioritize the review of those. So based on my conversations with DEQ, DEQ has expressed confidence that this allows Virginia to take advantage of this national program without sacrificing water quality, which I think is what my primary objective is, and what everybody's primary objective here ought to go ahead and be. So again, appreciate your consideration. I'm sorry for the long explanation of what that bill is. I have a number of people who are interested in speaking in favor. I know that there's at least one person who's against it, but I appreciate your patience and look forward to your questions.
All right, any questions for the patron from the committee? Hearing none, we will go to, I guess, the ones that are for it. Anyone speak in favor of it? No one in the virtual room. Please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Edward Mullen with Reed Smith, and I represent Advanced Drainage System, which is the manufacturer of the proprietary BMP that Delegate Bulova mentioned. Really appreciate his work on this bill and the work of the department getting the language right. And you're right, it started with a much smaller thing, and it seemed like there was a bigger need, so we're glad to be a part of that conversation and appreciate support for the bill.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Mr. Chairman, Evan Bernowski with the Home Builders. We support the bill. Builders and developers require access to as many BMPs as possible because BMPs vary so greatly in their suitability for any site, and also particularly in their costs. For those reasons, we really appreciated Delegate Bulova's 2020 bill, and we appreciate the access to proprietary BMPs. We really see this as kind of fine-tuning that prior bill, and we support it. So thank you very much.
All right, and next.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Phil Abraham, Representative Virginia Association for Commercial Real Estate. We thank Delegate Bulova for bringing this bill forward and giving us another tool in the toolbox to meet our permit requirements. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And next.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Chris Pomeroy. I represent the Virginia Municipal Stormwater Association. So our members' role in this process really is to inherit this infrastructure over time, in the sense that the municipal stormwater permits have to meet the Chesapeake Bay goals that the patron spoke of. Really want to thank the subcommittee and the patron to the attention to overseeing proprietary BMPs and their performance over the years. We understand the bill is needed for the fix that's described. We understand the good water quality intentions behind it. I want to thank the DEQ for their discussions, assuring that this certification program will uphold those high standards. So with that understanding, we thank you. We thank the patron and the committee for the work on the bill and are pleased to support it.
And I did miss, hold on 1 second, I did miss one virtually. Brian Michael, if you'd like to weigh in on this bill.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Just wanted to thank the delegate for putting forth the conversation and the changes proposed in the bill today. As a stormwater engineer that works up and down the Atlantic coast, I think it provides the greatest possibility for Virginia to look at all technologies that are verified and come up with the best solutions for their stormwater needs across the state. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And DEQ, like to weigh in?
First of all, good evening, everyone. I couldn't wait to say that. It's kind of nighttime now. Add a little levity, just so you know, number one, we have to express the most amazing thanks to Delegate Bulova for the patience that he has. He's got the patience of Job. I know. So I don't know if you've noticed, but I've only been here a couple weeks, and there's a lot of bills that are coming to DEQ to look at. The number of comments I've gotten on this one bill exceed all the other ones cumulatively, which is fascinating. So it's really not a big issue. The issue is very simple. We want to provide proprietary stormwater management facilities and devices that work, that protect the environment. We also don't want to use the regulatory structure to prevent manufacturers from competing with each other. And initially, that's what happened. That's what came to me with Delegate Bulova, is a small fix because two manufacturers were squabbling. But in reality, DEQ staff realized that because of this national program that we all want, it's good for the entire country, not alone just the Commonwealth of Virginia, we wouldn't be able to participate. So the language that's proposed now in the amendment is good. It'll allow us to participate, and we support it 100%. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and those opposed? Don't see anyone online? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Jacob Dorman, Contech Engineered Solutions. Was fully prepared to be against it until I saw the substitute language. So I kind of want to be on the fence a little bit with it this evening because I don't know if the 30 seconds was. So we do appreciate everything you've done. We appreciate the passage of 882 a few years ago. There are some key distinctions still between verification and certification that I hope we can work out with DEQ to even maybe fine tune it a little bit more. I know we were supportive of the bill even though we had multiple products come off of the list. I always concerned about legislating for one company. I think it tends to be a dangerous precedent. That said, thank you for everything you've done up to this point. Would like to really work with DEQ to fine tune the process a little bit more. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And next, against the bill. Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of the House, delegates. My name is Chris French. I am the National Regulatory Manager for BioClean Environmental. I'm also serve on the board of directors of the Stormwater Manufacturers Association. And if you look at some of the correspondence that's been going on, there has been very broad support at the national level, as Delegate Bulova and others have noted. The STEP program that was discussed is an effort that SWEMA initially started up with conversations with EPA several years ago. And it's still a very it's a teeter-totter type situation. They're very much trying to get their legs underneath of them. With that in mind, I think that the compromises that are being made are good ones and that these conversations should continue. However, I do believe that we need to consider the fact that the national program is probably several years out, and there are going to be some potential financial implications to the state. So if it is the pleasure of this committee to advance this, I would ask that you go ahead and also include the Finance Committee at the House of Delegates in order to do a fiscal analysis to make sure that this does not impact the Commonwealth negatively. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Chairman.
Yes.
Move to report. Second.
All right, so we have a motion that is yeah, that you have a substitute.
Yes, move to report the substitute. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to adopt the substitute and vote on House Bill 1224 properly before us. Second. Bill advances 10-0. Thank you. And the last bill on the docket tonight is Delegate Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, before us is HB 1297. HB 1297 directs the State Water Control Board to consider existing interjurisdictional arrangements and designating, hold on. Do we have an amendment? We have an amendment, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we have an amendment. We have a motion to accept the amendment? So moved. Second. All right, so all in favor say aye. Aye. So now the amendment is in front of us. Let's pull it up.
That was an amendment that was brought to us by. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, do you want me to read the amendment?
Yes.
On line 32, after relationship, insert which change shall be effective upon approval of the department, notwithstanding the provisions of Article 2, Section 2.2-4006 at SEC of Chapter 40 of Title 2.2. That's a reference to the Administrative Processes Act.
So in layman's terms, that's to make sure they follow all those regulations. To consider existing interjurisdictional arrangements in designated comprehensive water supply regional planning areas and to provide a mechanism for a locality to request a change of its designated regional planning area to an adjoining planning area. So it was suggested during meetings of the regulatory advisory panel that a mechanism should exist for a locality to be allowed to move from one region to an adjoining region if it makes sense due to drinking water source, river basin, or existing cross-jurisdictional relationship. The determination was made by DEQ staff that the current code language does not allow for that to occur, so that's why this bill is before us. And basically, pardon?
You're talking about the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, the amendment is on LIS now.
And Mr. Chairman, the amendment's on line 32.
Yep.
So basically, Mr. Chairman, one of my localities, their river basin actually splits the locality. One goes north, one goes south, and they'd prefer to go with the more rural localities in their regional area.
Yes, sir. Delegate Bolivar.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess for the patron, I'm thinking about kind of my own area. So we've got a couple of different planning areas that might make sense. And so let's say the Department of Environmental Quality first identified the Northern Virginia Regional Planning Commission as your area, and then the locality or the region comes back and say, hey, we have this interstate commission on the Potomac River Basin that manages our water supply issues. We think that makes much more sense, and this would provide an avenue for you to go ahead and choose that as opposed to kind of a preordained thing by DEQ or state code. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that was speaking in favor of the bill. Right. You're speaking favorably to the bill.
I was just trying to describe it the way that it wasn't on the bill.
Any other questions for the patron? Hearing none, or is there no one signed up virtually? Is anyone in the room to speak for the bill?
Good evening again. Delegate Weber, thank you very much for considering DEQ's technical amendments. We appreciate your consideration of them, and we support the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Eldon James on behalf of Fauquier County, and the bill has been explained pretty clearly. The regulatory process revealed that this couldn't be done administratively if these problems come up in the future without this piece of legislation empowering the department to receive those requests and act on them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And next.
Mr. Chairman, Chris Pomeroy for the Virginia Municipal Drinking Water Association. Speaking in favor of the bill briefly, we do appreciate the flexibility. The need for this flexibility has been mentioned by several of our members during the initial rulemaking to set the preliminary planning designation area. So the flexibility is much appreciated, and we support the bill for the reasons stated. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Delegate Bolivar.
Move the report.
Move the substitute.
Move the substitute.
Or it's line amendment. Which one is it?
As amended.
The amendment.
Move the substitute as amended. No, sorry. Move the bill as amended.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, so we have a motion properly seconded in front of us. Let's bring the bill up. House Bill 1297. The report reports out 10-0. Thank you much. That concludes our work for this week.
Mr. Chairman.